Hi guys, welcome back to the first video in a while. Taking a little personal break over the holiday through Christmas, January and February and March, but now we're back in April. Hope you guys had a good Easter, and it's time to get into the Atlantic hurricane season, which will be coming up in roughly the next month and a half. The NHC has decided to start putting out advisories 15 days early, which is likely due to the past activity in in May in the last 6 years. Let's get into it. And we are going to be doing our preliminary tracks, what we think is going to happen with this year and whatnot. Let's start with the common tracks that we will be most likely be seeing this year. I have 4 of them. One is one that we saw a lot in 2020. It's where we have one riding up the East Coast after forming by the East Coast. That was a very common one in 2020, although you didn't typically see a very strong storm with those systems. This year, there is a slight possibility or stronger possibility that there will actually be a stronger storm heading into this area. Another one that we have is one forming in the Caribbean and moving into the Nicaragua and Honduras area, much like Eta and Iota, which we saw last year, which were back-to-back storms, very strong storms as well. Maybe not seeing the intensity that we had last year due to factors that we will be getting into later on, but that is expected, at least for me, to be one of the most common tracks for this year. Another one is one starting in the MDR region, going just south of the Caribbean islands, and going into the Central Gulf. This track is probably going to be a more likely one that we see this year, along with one forming in the MDR and moving up north, more towards Bermuda, after possibly moving into the northern or the greater Antilles before moving out to sea. That is a probable common track that we will be seeing as well. Likely landfall areas. I have Central Gulf and potentially the farther Gulf, considering, like on the Texas and Mexico border, because the jet stream is actually not going to be quite as strong this year, or at least it's not expected to be. It's actually supposed to be a quite weak jet stream this year, which could allow more storms to move farther west. And also one of the reasons that we could see stronger East Coast storms due to the fact that the wind shear is going to be going down due to a weaker jet stream. Highlighting all these areas, likely the Antilles, whether it be the Greater or Lesser Antilles, Cuba, Nicaragua, the Yucatan Peninsula, Honduras, Gulf Coast, East Coast, basically everywhere is probably going to has a chance of getting impacted this year. It's not going to probably be quite as active as 2020. It will still probably be an active season, in my opinion. Comparable seasons to what I think this year could be like is more like 2017, 2004, and 2008, seeing roughly 15 to 18 storms in that region, with quite a few hurricanes, around 8, and quite a few major hurricanes as well with that. Our sea surface temperatures for this year, this is a slightly below average area that I'm thinking. In the northern portion of Africa, I think that we will have slightly below average sea surface temperatures due to model trends, and the actual current sea surface temperatures there are below average. One place that really is probably going to be below average this year is the southern Caribbean, in between that Honduras and Nicaraguan area. That will likely have some below average sea surface temperatures there as well. And just one step further, not slightly below average, but quite a bit below average sea surface temperatures are going to be in the far southern or the extreme southern Caribbean. We don't really see too much activity down there anyways, but this could prohibit some storms from intensifying like we had with Eta and Iota of last year. This could really prohibit some of those storms from intensifying to quite the level that they did last year. Then we have our slightly above average region. That is basically the entire MDR, the Gulf, and the East Coast. These areas are really looking like they're shaping up to have quite a bit above average temperatures for the majority of the year. And also, our above average region is the majority of the Gulf and portions of the East Coast, along with basically the middle of the MDR, although more off to the west than the rest. And I think this could really be a factor with this upcoming season, because I think we're actually going to start off slower than most years, just due to a fading La Nina, although I do think there's a chance that the La Nina could return later on. And due to this, I think we'll have a much, kind of like 2020, where there was a big stream of storms towards the end of the year, except I think we will start slow this year and not have quite that surge that we did at the beginning of the year in 2020. What I'm saying isn't gospel, but I do think that we will have a slower start to the season, and it will pick up quite a bit towards the end of the season like we saw in 2020. And then there's just this wild card region. Don't really know what the temperatures are going to do in the Caribbean and just north of the Caribbean and the Bahamas. This is still uncertain to me, and we'll just have to wait till we get closer to the season or even into the season before we really know what's going to happen in this area. Wind shear. This area is probably going to be below average wind shear due to, once again, the jet stream is probably going to be weaker this year than it has been in past years. The rest is really just going to depend on whether there's a La Nina and El Nino or a neutral. It really just depends on the Enzo region, because that has a major effect on the Atlantic's wind shear, so that's really just going to come up to that. My overall forecast, I think the Gulf and the East Coast are going to be above average in the storms this year. We could see some quite rapid intensification in these areas, maybe not quite as far north into the above average, but in the southern areas, more like North Carolina and the entirety of the Gulf, I do think we will see some rapid intensification, or just more in general storms forming in these areas than we typically do. Now, we have a below average region right here due to the fact that there will likely be below average sea surface temperatures in this area. And it does kind of border the above average. So in that area, it'll be kind of a mix. We could see some storms, but it probably won't be as many as before. So it's just kind of you never really know. But just due to the below average sea surface temperatures, not really knowing what the wind shear in that area until we know whether there's going to be a La Nina, an El Nino, or a neutral, I'm going to stick with the below average for that area. I think the MDR is going to produce more storms and more storms of higher intensity than it has in the past couple of years. In the past couple of years, we haven't really seen too much rapid intensification or much intensification at all in the MDR. In fact, it appeared very unfavorable last year. We did have a couple of storms developing quite fast in there, one being Teddy, but that was really about it. And we had stuff like Laura in the Gulf. Yes, it did start off in the MDR, but it did not really intensify at all until we got into the Gulf. So storms like that don't really, I think in the green area they will actually produce faster and form faster than they typically do. The rest is just really a wild card. You never really know with that area. You could get more storms, you might not. It just really depends. My overall prediction, I think there will be, for the tropical depressions, I think there will be 17 to 21 tropical depressions. For the tropical storms, I think there will be 17 to 20 tropical storms. Hurricanes, I think there will be 7 to 10. And major hurricanes, I think there will be 4 to 7. All of those are in the above average region, quite a bit above average actually. You could get from one of the most active Atlantic hurricane seasons to just a pretty normal above average season. My just normal numbers, if I were to have to stick with one number, I'd go with 19 tropical depressions, 18 tropical storms, 8 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes. So not really looking like it's going to shape up to 2020, and really, hopefully, it does not get anywhere close to 2020, but looking like a quite above average season indeed. So I'm going with an above average season for the 2021 hurricane season. Thank you guys for watching. More content coming up soon. First video of 2021 coming back strong in April. Thank you guys for watching, and signing off.